Welcome back. The United Nations 2030 Agenda on Sustainable Development Goals might be far from being realized in Nigeria if the obstacles that inhibit youth from playing active roles in development and building peace are not tackled effectively. This was the basis of the theme for the 2017 International Youth Day. The event this year was dedicated to celebrating young people's contributions to conflict prevention and transformation, as well as inclusion, social justice, and sustainable peace.
The devastation in the northeast due to insurgency, the call for secession in the southeast, and the Niger Delta are some of the indicators of restiveness. Sadly, the youths are more involved. Since the adoption of the United Nations Security Council Resolution 2250 in 2015, there's growing recognition that as agents of change, young people are critical actors in conflict prevention and sustaining peace. It is on this premise that the theme for this year's International Youth Day was given. This event, organized by the United Nations Information Center in collaboration with an NGO, helped to bring to light the crucial role of peace to development. To realize the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals, the UN Resident Coordinator, Edward Cullen, wants a change from the normative understanding of youth from perpetrators and victims of violence, as well as conflict, to focusing on positive contributions that they can play in preventing conflict and building peace.
Youth restiveness is a complex challenge, and this country needs to address it urgently through concerted efforts targeted at engaging and empowering youths. The Security Council Resolution 2250 changed the normative understanding of youth from victims and/or perpetrators of violence and conflict to focusing on positive contributions that youth can play in preventing conflict and building peace. Agenda 2030 recognizes that the challenges to peace and security are rooted in development deficits. And making progress on the 17 Sustainable Development Goals is the path towards not just development, but also sustainable peace. But these ambitious goals will not be attainable until we fully include our youths in this process. As we take steps towards realizing Agenda 2030 in Nigeria, we must identify and tackle the obstacles that inhibit youth from playing active and empowered roles in development and building peace. The lack of economic opportunity is rendering too many Nigerian youths without access to constructive livelihood opportunities.
Mr. Cullen adds that Nigeria's leadership must demonstrate a sincere commitment to the institutional framework for empowering youths.
The institutional frameworks for empowering youths in Nigeria exist and provide multiple avenues to unlock the peace-building potentials harnessed by this demographic group. Our challenge is implementing these policy frameworks and living up to the challenges and working to address the obstacles around youths.
The event affords participants the opportunity to discuss issues around young people, with emphasis on the role of the youth as critical actors in conflict prevention and sustaining peace.
You know, when we talk about peace building, it's not just about the issues of the IDPs in the north. It's not just about the issues of Boko Haram. Peace building is really, really wide, and I also like what some of the earlier speakers have said about inner peace. We really need to promote peace from within. There was a time in Lagos where we just hear stories of individuals jumping over the bridge and then ending their life. A lot of people are depressed. So you can really promote peace by, you never know what your tweet or your message is saying to encourage somebody. So that's the whole idea of use social media responsibly and also build positive networks on social media.
Discussants identify some of the root causes of conflict and agitation among the youth to include intolerance, poverty, and lack of access to equal opportunity.
If we can handle the problem of childhood, I can assure you that we have handled the problem of adulthood. Because everybody blessing or troubling our world was once a child. But you see, being a child is different from expressing childhood. So many of us that are here were never children before, we never experienced childhood. And time will fail me to talk about the characteristics of that childhood I'm talking about. So the thing for me is, as a youth, you can decide who you want to follow. You don't follow everybody asking you to come and follow. And you can also decide who to unfollow. But the problem is, if you are not first of all a leader of yourself, you cannot know who to follow. You become a reed tossed by every wind of doctrine.
When youth are excluded from political, economic, and social spheres and processes, it can be a risk factor for violence and conflict. Therefore, identifying and addressing the social exclusion of the youth is a precondition for sustaining peace.
And still on the International Youth Day, aggrieved youths in Lagos took advantage of the day to embark on a peaceful protest to the State House of Assembly, seeking a law that would enable them get more involved in governance and leadership.
Their voice can be heard loudly. That's how important this group of aggrieved youths are, as they take a peaceful protest on the occasion of International Youth Day. Their destination was the Lagos State House of Assembly, where they intend to meet and pass on a message to the House leadership. But with iron barricades placed on the road, it was not possible.
We have written to these people, to the Speaker, and the Speaker has accepted our letter. Yes. He is aware that we are coming, and we have the Commissioner of Police letter to endorse this. Yes. So we are here legally. Yes. We are here lawfully. And we are not law-abiding citizens.
That did not deter them as they continue with chants despite the intervention of the majority leader of the assembly. After a brief consultation among the security personnel, they eventually gained access to the main entrance of the house. A representative of the group explained their demands, which include the passage of laws that would empower the youth positively and enable them participate effectively in governance.
The Not Too Young to Run bill has been passed at the National Assembly. We are here to urge the members of the House of Assembly to make sure that the bill is domesticated here in the House of Assembly. And here we are saying no to the use of youths as thugs, as electioneering machineries. We say no to the abuse of youths as people that they see, as people that they can just use and give them 20 naira and say, go and sit down, go and campaign for me. Now we want you to recognize us as people that can sit down on the same table and rule. We want to rule ourselves. We say no to the old locks. We have the energy, we have the vibrancy. Don't we have the energy? We have our body. We don't tire.
If you've been monitoring the event, you will see that the two issues you have laid there before us today are two issues that have scaled the National Assembly. Now, the National Assembly will now engage the various states' House of Assembly. A preliminary conferences has been held involving all houses of assembly in Nigeria. So what you see playing out at the National Assembly is a kind of knowledge that the state assemblies also have. Though you cannot vouch that you can have all the state assemblies supporting it. But Lagos State has been a progressive state led by a progressive element in a progressive party, whether we like it or not. To that extent, anything progressive, Lagos State will support. As regards the age, as regards independent candidacy, the House of Assembly will also sit on it and take position, but be sure that we will take progressive decisions.
Having made their agitations known, what next?
Youthness is not going to just rest on his ass. We are going to keep putting watchdogs. We are going to follow up. We are going to understand that they have to put things in place. It's not for them to just come out and speak the grammar and put in tenses and everything. It's time for them to now put in proper structures in place, and we are going to be following up on this. And we are encouraging the media to also please support us in this fight.
Independent candidates is an option that we realize that is possible, is viable, because we realize that the way the party is structured, the system is built against us. We have party bigwigs who have been investing in party for 20 years. You now put us against them. It is unrealistic. So we believe independent candidature will be an opportunity right now for young people to get into politics, to get elected without going through that money bags godfatherism process.
While the group plans to get more youth involved in their cause, agitations like this should also put pressure on the lawmakers and remind them that social inclusion for youth, including participation in decision-making, promotes their role as active contributors to the society.
That's where we draw the program to a close for today. We appreciate your audience while it lasted. Our social media platforms are there for comments and feedbacks. I'm Loretta Chiogo. Have a super week ahead.